So the topic of my presentation is what do I want to be when I grow up? And when I first applied to OSU and I was talking to my advisor, this is the question she asked me. And this is a question I've struggled with a lot growing up. So the first thing I ever wanted to be was a post office worker. I was obsessed with getting mail delivered and like walking around. And as much as I can laugh about that now, I was thinking that there are some similarities. So what I want to do is work directly with a community and also deliver important information, which is what a post office worker does. And since then, I've still struggled with that question. I was an environmental science major in college, and then I had a bunch of different jobs within that. I worked on a farm and a biodiesel lab, and I also worked in conservation. But I really found at the end of the day, what I was interested in about the environment is how it affects humans and human health. So then I found myself at OSU's geography department, and my specific interest is in spatial epidemiology. So I'm really interested in the relationship of disease exposure to actual disease development, so the frequency and distribution and cause of a disease. So that's the public health part, and so spatial epidemiology is the intersection of public health and geography. And the geography part comes in the spatial. And so there's two ways to look at this. You can have high and low frequencies of a disease, and these are going to be the areas you might want to further investigate. And then the second part is that you can look at that disease and derive some spatial relationships to what else is happening around that disease. So, for example, cancer rates. You can identify areas that have really high cancer rates and then areas that have really low cancer rates, and then look at the relationship with those cancer rates to the community surrounding it. And the way that I specifically want to do that is through biostatistics, so relating statistical information to health issues and also geographic information systems. So what does this look like for me in grad school? I'm interested in infant health and especially preterm birth rates. So I'm going to be looking at Franklin County. And so there's already been some work done within the county. And you can just see that they've identified high-risk communities by those percentages. And so I want to look at this in terms of specific environmental factors. I'm looking at housing right now and different environmental factors that may affect that may affect preterm birth rates. And I'll use statistical methods as well as GIS. So I'll leave you with my burning questions, which brought me to grad school. How I'll address this research and likely any research after that is the risk of risk. So our Western medical model is really interested in an individual and the disease the individual has and how to treat it. But I want to take a step back and look at why did that person get that disease at that time, and then look at the population itself and the individual using multifactorial approaches. And then finally, so my methods are really data heavy, and there's a lot of data in the world and it's growing, but it's really important to know how you can sort through that data in order to understand health better. And then finally, when you do have those conclusions, I still feel like there's a disconnect between your conclusion and the stakeholders of that community. So working with communities to better collaborate and coordinate that information.
Compliments for Claire.